Welcome to another Crossbody Work Minisode. My name is Evan.
I am Javier.
This week we look at the first ever WWE Championship win. Spoilers, of course, for a match that's 6 years old now, of one Bray Wyatt, who we tragically lost recently. Javier, this was your idea to go back and cover this match.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a bunch of people that we've already covered. A
Yes.
bunch of people, a lot of people, 3 guys at least that we'll eventually cover. And Baron
Absolutely.
Corbin.
And you be nice to Baron Corbin. He's really good in this era. We are at Elimination Chamber 2017. This is an elite era of SmackDown Live. I've mentioned this before in our podcast, Crossbody of Work. This time, I was doing show reviews for Daily DDT, and I had a choice. I was like, I can't do both. Like, do you want to do NXT still, or do you want to do SmackDown still? And coming out of the brand split, I was like, honestly, let's do SmackDown. So I watched the draft like an invested fan. I was like, oh, who are we gonna get? Who's being on SmackDown? And I remember thinking it wasn't balanced. I'm like, Raw has so many more people.
Yeah.
This doesn't seem fair. Like, SmackDown had just very few bodies. I still remember the first thing I was excited about, though, on the first SmackDown after, is when they announced that Shelton Benjamin was coming back.
Yes.
I lost my shit. I love Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great that era was so exciting. When they announced the brand split happening, you were like, all right, cool. And then they split up Ambrose and Rollins, and I was like, let's go.
Yeah, they needed that.
And then, Finn went to Raw. Some people went to SmackDown. Like
Carmella got called up. Like a lot of call-ups too, which was nice. But who do we have in this? So, the brand split happened in mid-2016. We're now at February 2017. In this match, we have John Cena, 16-time WWE Champion, having just won the title from AJ Styles.
Yeah.
But truly the face who ran that place.
Yeah, I mean, the star power there with Cena could, like, the rub that he gave SmackDown in that time period cannot be, like, measured. He was so important to them early on, and it really helped establish guys like AJ Styles, who ran the place, but also it kind of helped Dean Ambrose jump up a level, in my opinion.
It absolutely did. Instead of just having that beautiful blood feud with Rollins, which again was very, very good, he then got to mix it up as a WWE champion alongside John Cena and AJ Styles. And Ambrose is one of the most over people in the company at this point, and is Intercontinental Champion. For those of you who don't know, hello, the one of you, Dean Ambrose is Jon Moxley. Cool.
Yeah. He also just had that terrific Royal Rumble match against Kevin Owens.
Baron Corbin is here. He has hair. He still has potential, and is a lone wolf. I actually really like this iteration.
This era of Baron Corbin was awesome.
He slaps. The Miz, who is doing some of the most inspired work of his career in his fully fleshed out A-lister gimmick. He's not fresh off of, but he is still coming off the high of that feud with Ziggler over the IC belt. And he's going to get into eventually that feud with Bryan. Like, this is peak Miz.
I mean, he's about to have a WrestleMania match against John Cena, technically.
And, of course, our last man, Bray Wyatt. A spooky man with a spooky plan.
Yes, a spooky man with a spooky plan, and a friend who is already one half of the WWE Championship match at WrestleMania.
That's right. That actually reminds me. So can you remember where all of these men ended up at WrestleMania 33?
For the most part, maybe I can. So Cena and Miz paired off.
Yeah, Cena and Nikki versus Miz and Maurice.
Yeah, they were in the intergender tag. AJ, what did AJ? Oh, was AJ? This is 33, right?
Yeah.
So AJ went against Shane.
He opened against Shane. Yep.
Bray obviously defends against Randy.
Yep.
And then is Ambrose defending the IC title in like a ladder match with Baron Corbin in it? Or
it's 1-on-1, no DQ match on the pre-show for the IC title.
Those two?
They were on the pre-show of WrestleMania 33.
I have no memory of that.
That's the thing, is I also had no memory of it because it was on the pre-show.
Things wasn't the pre-show also was Pac Austin Aries for the Cruiserweight title on the pre-show?
I believe you are right. I'm going to double check, but I am pretty sure. Yeah, Neville, Austin
Aries. What a pre-show then.
And then the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was won by
33, so that would have been oh my god, what's his name? Mojo Rawley?
Mojo Rawley.
Yeah.
What a pre-show.
No, better than the main card.
Doubt. All right. We start the match with Cena and Styles, two guys who know each other really well. So they get some counters, some dodges. Styles with an Argentine backbreaker rack and a spin-up powerbomb for a 2. I love this feud. I think Styles, in a very short amount of time, managed to put himself pretty high on the Cena rivalry list.
Oh, yeah. Like, without a doubt. I mean, it's just, you look at the Cena rivalry list, and there's so many guys that Cena helped elevate to that next level, man. Like, AJ Styles.
There's also quite a few guys who did not get to the next level while against Cena.
Yeah, but I'm talking like fully fleshed out, like, programs, not just like one pay-per-view or 2 pay-per-views, you know?
That's
like,
fair.
Edge absolutely benefited from that feud with John Cena. Randy Orton absolutely benefited from his feuds with John Cena. CM Punk absolutely benefited from, like, he doesn't get to the level he's at without John Cena.
He doesn't get fired without John Cena?
Well, he got fired without John Cena. And I'm obviously AJ gets taken, and I think that's kind of like the Mount Rushmore of the Cena rub.
That's fair.
And we get to a point here where I think it was JBL that said this. He goes, "The WrestleMania main event is at stake." Who's gonna tell him?
Who's gonna tell him that this is not gonna be in the main event?
Who's gonna tell him that this is even the most regarded championship match at WrestleMania?
And the main event of the show isn't even a championship match.
Yeah, it's Roman Reigns against an old guy.
Big dog versus other dog. Dog fight.
The weird thing about the dog thing is, at what point were they calling the Undertaker any sort of canine, like?
Well, it's because he had a yard, and dogs are in yards. And so
he's got a yard with dead people. There's no dogs there.
No, he doesn't have a graveyard. Oh my God, is that the Undertaker's yard? Is a graveyard?
Evan.
I never put that together.
Evan, what is an Undertaker?
No, I got you. I'm with you now. I got you. I just thought he liked horticulture. I thought he liked lawns.
What is this, fucking Pet Cemetery? Is that where Roman Reigns and the Undertaker coming together?
He's out there mowing on the riding mower. Anyways, Ushi by Styles. I miss Mauro Ranallo more than Jerry Coke. Like, goddamn.
There's Jerry Coke here in America.
Not in Canada. It's hard to find.
Pretty regularly.
It's hard to find.
I mean, you could just walk into like a CVS and there's Cherry Coke. Anyways, there's a Code Red. Yeah, I don't have Walgreens either. That's there too.
No.
Damn. Third world country. Anyways, Cena does a sunset flip power bomb, but they called it a Code Red. It's not a Code Red.
It's not a Code Red.
A Code Red is when you hook the person before you do the flip. And then
he goes for the 5 moves of doom. He's going to go for the 5 knuckle shuffle, but then the pod music starts happening and someone's coming out, and it is Dean Ambrose.
Which is just the main event, or not even the main event, the opener for that one pay-per-view with the Democratic
No Mercy
convention or whatever was happening.
There's no mercy.
Yes.
Tosses Cena into the outer area, runs him into the chain. Styles gets run into it too. Hits a released like vertical suplex thing on Styles on the side plating.
X-plex.
It's an X-plex. Yes, they made it a lot less shitty on the sides of the ring.
Thank God they did that.
Instead of it just being sheet metal.
Yeah, instead of it just being like literal grates.
Yeah.
They just, or like guys were, I mean, JBL mentioned it at one point. I think JBL was only ever in one Elimination Chamber match. I could not tell you what year it was. But he mentioned that Umaga, who famously shoeless wrestler, just wrestled barefoot, was like walking around on the grates, and he was like, I could see him getting like cut up on his foot by the grates.
That sounds awful.
Like, imagine being like slammed onto that. Yeah, no, people were like upset at first because I believe this is the first Elimination Chamber in a while, or at least since like the 2015
May
IC
2015, where they had that terrible one for the vacant IC title and the tag one.
Yeah, well, this was like when this came out, or when this happened, people were like, oh, there's padding there now. It looks so terrible. I did not think that at all. I thought it was great. Yeah. I thought it looked cool. And then they had like this cool, like bright lighting. And I really enjoyed that.
For those who are curious and keeping score at home, Bradshaw was in the Raw WWE Championship opportunity one at No Way Out 2008. He lost to Triple H.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah, that does track. Losing to Triple H, that tracks.
Ambrose goes up to the top of a pod, hits a flying elbow to Cena. Cena does a two-man German to both. He does it to AJ, who's holding on to Ambrose.
So it's like a little
German.
human caterpillar of a German suplex. Fourth man in is Bray Wyatt. Immediately clothesline to Ambrose, diving shoulder to Cena. That beautiful, like, fucking diving shoulder block that he did. So good.
And then the crowd's just chanting in the background. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Styles goes for a springboard, and Wyatt just sends him into the chain link. He's like, no, I'm not dealing with this.
At one point here, Styles and Ambrose start slamming each other. They get to the top of a pod, and they start slamming each other off of the plexiglass.
I thought one of them was about to fly through.
AJ like goes down, not like on top of the pod still, and Wyatt starts grabbing at Ambrose. He knocks him off, and then makes him eat a Falcon punch or an uppercut. It's a Falcon punch though, right to the goddamn jaw. It looked disgusting.
Were you a Captain Falcon main?
No, in the most recent one, I was a Sonic main. I'm terrible at Smash Brothers.
I'm good at OG Smash Bros. Because I was like
not good at any of them. I'm not good at any of them. And then every other Smash Brothers, I've been a Ness main because I thought he was cool.
I knew that. I knew you mentioned that you were a Ness main.
Well, I just like that he said PK Fire, PK Thunder, PK Fire.
So Styles meets Wyatt on the top rope. We get a Tower of Doom with Ambrose doing the powerbomb, but Wyatt doing like a choke overhead toss.
Yes.
Super good. Next man in is Baron Corbin. Him and Ambrose go for each other immediately because they've been feuding a little bit at this point. Corbin catches him with a deep six. Wyatt gets run into Miz's pod by Corbin. Miz's facial expressions in this match deserve not an Oscar, but like a I don't know,
at least an Emmy.
An Emmy?
Emmy nomination at the minimum.
An Independent Film Spirit Award.
At least a little mention at Con.
Shout out to Mike.
At one point, Corbin lays out everyone. He lays out Wyatt. He lays out every single person in sight. And then he hits an end of days to Styles that looked so good.
The end of days is so good. It's such a good move.
I still think the best one to this day is the one that he hit on Chad Gable.
Yes.
Back in NXT.
Yes.
But this AJ Styles one looks great because AJ is so bendy. Like, I don't know how he's able to do it. He's able to change directions with his body in midair so fast that he just like snaps, and it looks so good. And then he hits one to Cena.
Yeah.
So Cena puts on an STFU immediately as soon as he hits the end of days on Styles. Corbin gets out of it in record time.
Yeah.
And then just hits an end of days to Cena, and Cena rolls out of the ring.
Ambrose with a drop kick to Corbin from the top rope. Ambrose runs Corbin into the steel chains. Corbin just returns favor. He counters Dirty Deeds and pushes Ambrose off the top rope into the steel chains. And then our last pod opens, and of course it's The Miz is our last guy in. Corbin's just waiting for him. He's saying, come on. Miz is very tentative coming out of the pod. And what happens to Corbin?
He gets rolled up by Ambrose out of nowhere. Ambrose grabs the tights, and Baron Corbin is the first man out of here.
Well, you're not going to main event, heavy quotation marks, against Randy Orton, Baron Corbin. That's not going to happen. Not right now. That's a weird matchup.
Does he win Money in the Bank this year?
I think he does. I think he does.
Yes, because Jinder wins the title later on, and that's the whole thing.
Oh, yes. Don't hinder Jinder, except you should absolutely hinder Jinder. Corbin beats the shit out of Ambrose after this. Tosses him through a plexiglass pod, smashes him in the steel, hits an end of days, and then finally is sent out of the chamber by a bunch of referees. Miz sneaks in, covers Ambrose, pins him. Dean Ambrose is also not going to WrestleMania. You two, first two out, you go on the pre-show.
Those are so rules. Stupid. Like, so stupid.
It's a good pre-show.
And Miz does yes kicks to Cena and Wyatt. He does corner drop kicks to everyone.
Yeah.
and then hits an awesome clothesline to Cena, which then he turns to Bray, because Bray is like trying to get frisky with him, and he hits a skull crushing finale to Bray on the outside.
It's really good.
Then he gets a little too much dip on his chip.
That awesome clothesline that Miz does, it's so good.
Yeah, no one else does it too, which is weird.
Nobody steals this shit. It's a really good move. So yeah, he gets a little too much dip on his chip. Crossbody to Cena. Cena rolls through. F you. Miz gets eliminated. He was in the match for 3.5 minutes.
That's the arrogance, the gravitas that Cena has afterward, where he's like chest puffed.
Yeah.
Yes, I does this.
So we're down to Cena, Styles, and Bray.
Yeah. What a trio, by the way.
What a trio.
Three completely different people.
Very different. Cena goes for a 10-knuckle shuffle, hits it to both men. F you to Bray. F you attempt on Styles. Styles hits the Styles Clash instead. Cena kicks out.
Yes.
Shades of Super Cena.
Super Cena. And then they start entangling all over again, and Cena ends up hitting an FU to Styles for a near fall. Shades of literally a month ago, and they had that incredible 5-star match at the Rumble.
So good. Cena's on top of the pod, which is anytime Cena goes up on things, I'm like, no. You are you're a ground type.
Hey, listen, I love John Cena. The guy has the physique of a Greek god, but there's a reason why the Greeks do not win very many athletic competitions at the Olympics. It's because he don't fly, they don't jump, they don't run. They just kind of build.
They just look great. They look great. So he's on top of the pod. Points to the WrestleMania side. Crossbodies both Wyatt and Styles, which was a lot.
Yeah. He hits an FU to Bray. Bray slips out. He goes for an FU to Bray. Bray slips out, spikes him with his sister Abigail. 1, 2, 3. John Cena's eliminated.
The pop is ridiculous. The pop is huge.
We're gonna have a new WWE Championship. Watching this live, because I was watching this pay-per-view live.
Me too.
What a moment. I was like, oh my God. Because I was so sure. I don't know about what were you feeling at the time. I was so sure we were just going to end up getting Cena versus Randy Orton one-on-one at WrestleMania, because we hadn't had that yet. And I was like, oh, it just makes so much sense. And this is where, maybe they get Ric Flair involved, because they were like, oh, he's got connections to Orton. You're not supposed to be a 16-time champion. Blah, blah, blah. Screw you.
I thought Cena was retaining, but I also thought if it wasn't Cena, it was going to go back to Styles.
Yeah, that also would have made a ton of sense.
And I was like, that's actually not like, that's a kind of fresh matchup. Like, that'll be really good. But Bray was not on my bingo card.
Which makes no sense, because they had already. It makes no sense that the seeds they were already entertained, like a group. The match at this pay-per-view was Randy against Luke Harper.
God, that's a good match too.
It made so much sense that that's the direction, but I feel like nobody, aside from
believed they'd do it. Everyone said the pieces are there, the storyline beats are all there. No one truly thought WWE was wild enough to do it.
Yeah, and then there's a stare down between Bray and AJ, and AJ's face is just like,
I don't want to fight you.
I don't want any part of what's about to happen here.
Wyatt's raining down blows to the back of Styles' neck. There's a basement dropkick that literally topples Wyatt head over heels.
Yeah. There's AJ goes for his phenomenal blitz, the really fast thing he does, and then right as he's about to go for the spinning back fist, Bray just levels him with a lariat. This is a Stan Hansen level lariat here. He clatters that brother.
He clocks him. Pele kick by Styles, running knee. By how do you pronounce that? The Baisaku knee?
Oh my God, Busaiku. But those aren't Busaiku knees. He just hits a shining wizard.
I go with what Mauro Ranallo says.
That is a shining wizard. What are we doing here? We've covered enough matches on this
It didn't
podcast.
look shining wizard enough.
That is a shining wizard right
It's a
there.
rusty wizard. Did you know that the Undertaker has a yard and it's a graveyard? All right.
I can't believe it took you 31 and a half years.
Years old. I just clued in. I've known who the Undertaker is since I was 7 years old.
Jesus Christ. Anyways, Pele kick.
Pele kick hits a springboard 450. It's nasty. Wyatt gets a shoulder up.
And then AJ's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm putting this man out. He takes off his elbow pad. And he's getting ready. He's loading up for that phenomenal forearm. He does the springboard. He's on the jump. Wyatt pops up. You see him scouting. He sidesteps, grabs AJ, drags him to the middle of the ring. The best Sister Abigail I have ever seen is still the one that he hits here to AJ Styles.
I have one.
Nah, AJ lands like this, dog.
But I think the one that I think is better is a cheat code, and that's the one against Rey Mysterio, where he literally like makes Rey bounce on the top of his head.
I still think this one,
but it's like doing it to a child, so it's not.
I still think this one to AJ's better, but he hits that Sister Abigail to AJ, spikes him. 1, 2, 3. The era of Wyatt is here.
So exciting! It was very fresh. Because now everyone knows, like, oh, Bray Wyatt's a main eventer. Yeah, obviously with the Fiend, gimmick, and character, like, that made sense. At the time, we weren't sure if they were ever going to really pull the trigger on Bray being the guy.
It's been so many years at that point. Like, think of when he was probably at his peak of powers, popularity, all this stuff. It was back in 2014.
30.
Yeah, and like, if there was any time where you were going to give this guy a little bit of a push, you put him over Cena in that feud, and then you have him go on his way, basically to the main part of the card, but they didn't do it. No. And if anything, it makes sense that he would win one now because the brand split. There's 2 titles. He was never going to beat Brock. He was never, Roman was getting the push to the top. And it makes, I can understand why he hadn't won a world title to this point. But that just made it all that much sweeter because watching this back then, I was just like, let's go. Like, this is my guy. He deserves this moment. In my opinion, still, it's in my opinion, the best moment of Bray Wyatt's career. I think it just, not that it does go downhill a little bit after this, but then he comes back and he brings it back up again. But I still think this is where the peak of it was. Just this moment, the way it made everyone feel, the way it made the crowd feel.
Yes.
Because the investment in this man.
Hindsight's 2020. The match against Orton is bad.
It's bad. And it's only like 10 minutes. We covered it on this pod.
It's bad. I feel like it did color the way they thought of Bray, and eventually that led to the repackage. Like, I think that because then we get into that weird era of like the Sister Abigail thing, and it's all a little fuzzy.
I actually like this team with Matt Hardy, I will say.
I had honestly forgotten about that until I saw Matt Hardy post photos after Bray's passing. I was like,
I thought that was really fun. And then he posted that video where it's like a backstage thing with like Finn and someone else. And Jeff Hardy is about to team with Finn and I think it's Ambrose or Rollins. I don't remember which one. And I think it might be the Raw after WrestleMania. And they had split the Hardys.
Yeah.
At that point, like Jeff was just solo guy at that point. And he's about to do a 6-man tag. I think it is Rollins. He's about to do a 6-man tag with Finn and Rollins. And then Matt comes up to him, and he's obviously in his broken Matt character. He's like saying some weird stuff. And then he brings along his friend, Brother Wyndham. And
Brother Wyndham.
Bray does some like weird shit. Says some weird Bray Wyatt stuff. And then he's like, yeah, cool. All the stuff. Like Jeff is solely into it. He understands what they're saying. And then he turns around. And Finn and Rollins are like, what the fuck was that?
What the hell did they just talk?
Goes, no. And then they go. I thought that was great. And like there was a lot of gold in that duo, and they didn't. I don't think they capitalized on it as much as they should have. There was just like there was a lot of untapped potential with the Bray Wyatt character, regardless of the iteration that it had. I think is
Do you remember who the Leaders of the World lost the tag titles to?
the B team.
It was the B team.
Yeah.
B
I remember
team.
because of the feud. They had that feud
Yeah,
with the B team where Bo Dallas does the best Bray Wyatt impersonation anyone has ever done,
that's true.
which makes sense. It's his brother. Um,
Nobody can make fun of you as much as your own brother.
this is very,
This
very
is a
true.
fact. Obviously, tragic what has happened to Bray Wyatt. Losing Bray
Yeah.
is difficult. This moment is fantastic. It was really fun to go back and watch this match. I think this era of SmackDown is going to be remembered. It doesn't have the longevity, but there's going to be a subset of younger fans who think about this the same way that we think of the Ruthless Aggression era. The
Oh,
SmackDown
absolutely.
sticks. There's going to be people who are like, you don't know how fucking good SmackDown was when it was Ambrose and Styles and some guy with no chin. It was fucking
Yeah.
incredible. Like, and Bray was a big part of that. He was a big part of that era.
Huge. I mean, I just loved that was a moment in time where they had so many different things going on at once, and they
Yeah.
had to. But like it was just really, really cool to see, and this episode, I want more so to be a celebration of not just Bray, but of that SmackDown time period. Because again, it is like you said, it's something that we're gonna look back on fondly, like that beginning era of the Ruthless Aggression era. And like how people older than us probably look back fondly on the early stages of the Attitude Era and stuff like that, and you know the whole Monday Night War and all this other stuff. And I just let this be a celebration of wrestling at a point where it was really, really special. And this was a really, really special moment to an absolutely incredible performer who deserved to have this moment. And I'm glad that he was able to have it.
Raw sucks this era too. It's not that bad, but it's just not nearly as good. Raw
It's
was.
not that bad, but it's not nearly as good. You're right about that
They
one.
did have. I think this is when they were trying to make Darren Young great again, and I can't forgive them for that. All right. Thank you for joining us. We did another Minisode, and we talked about this wonderful match and the wonderful career of Bray Wyatt. I'm sure we will do a Bray Wyatt 3-parter at some point on the podcast
Absolutely.
in the future. So stay tuned at Crossbody of Work on Twitter, on Instagram, here on YouTube. Hit subscribe, hit like. Javier, where can people find you on social media?
I'm on the Twitter machine at JMelloSports. Just lob the boy a follow.
Lob me one too. At Evan Gomes, ITSEVANGOMES. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back with another Minisode soon. We'll talk to you then.